The From Busy to Rich podcast helps financial advisors grow their businesses beyond the products they sell and the assets they manage, increase profitability, and reclaim their time by providing strategies and insights that will not only change your life, but practice.
Welcome back, everybody. Today is a special one. You're really in for a treat. We're doing something a little bit different. Wes wrote a book, and so it's called Beautiful Savage. And instead of our usual format, I get to put him in the hot seat. And today we're really going to dig into what's in it and why he wrote it. For anyone who's new to the show, Wes has been around. If you couldn't tell from his gray hair, those you get to see, he's been around for a little while. He's built a wonderful business, Savage in Strategy from financial services that turned into something else to train up advisors and equipment. There's really a heart and passion. I think this book, as you'll see, pulls a lot of that out and carries it forward. And so with that, Wes, I guess dive us into what was the genesis of the book? What made you say, hey, in the middle of everything else I have going on, I should add one more thing?
Yeah, writing is a interesting thing, but I do believe with some of the technologies we have, and I will share a lot of that. It can make the process much easier and more enjoyable if you employ the right things. But the book in general is I love spreading powerful ideas. Part of our win, as you know, organizationally at Savage in Strategy is we want to inspire people to increase profitability and quality of life. And there's a lot of ways we do that. Well, one of the ways, Justin, that's been for me and for you and for most of our clients. So one of the ways that happens is also through meaningful ideas that we can recognize and apply that make our lives better and make us better at life. And so I am as you know, because I send them to you all the time, I consume a lot of books. I consume a lot of podcasts and things because I'm always trying to be in wonder about things that may make our lives better. So I love to do that. I love to invent. Now, I'm also not I don't just like learning to learn. I was not a great student in school, believe it or not. You probably could believe that. Because I want there to be purpose behind what am I going to do with what I'm learning. And so the genesis of this book and any future books that I tend to write have to do with there are patterns in the world that when you can recognize them and apply them, they're going to make your life better and they're going to make you better at life. And that can be true of from the relationships that you have to the professional life that you're living to the way that you're working with your money and your alignment. So when I came across this thing, it all kind of came together for me, and I was playing with this. I mean, this is a book 20 something years in the making, probably but I just got better at understanding how to put it all together, and lived enough of it and watched other successful people live it that I was like, this is a thing I cannot wait to get into the world.
Yeah, I feel really blessed because I've gotten to see from multiple roles, like as an outsider, some of the growth, and then coming on as part of the team and the inside perspective over the last 4 or 5 years, the growth and development within the company, the advisor focused components, and then just the overall success that you've been able to generate in a lot of, not just for you, but for the team and for our clients and for other advisors. And you open the book by naming something you call the entrepreneur's paradox. And so I really want to preface this. This book is not just for advisors. It really is for anybody. So I highly encourage you to lean in. Don't just think like, oh, I'm not an advisor, so this doesn't apply to me. You'd be wrong and you'd be missing out. So the entrepreneur's paradox, this guilt that comes from how you define it as, wanting more when you already have so much. And obviously you didn't start out with an overabundance of clients and everything else. But so when in that development did you first really start to feel that tension yourself?
Yeah. So the whole subtitle of the book, it's A Beautiful Savage, an entrepreneur's guide to enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. And there are some common denominators of people who are strivers, and most entrepreneurs are strivers. They own businesses, they own real estate. They want to make things happen in the business world. Because of that, they have this thing. Everybody has this thing, Justin. An entrepreneur or business owner type person generally has it to a massive degree, and especially if they're really successful and have created a lot of value in the marketplace. We have a gap. We have a gap between where we are and where we want to be. My favorite Stephen Pressfield quote ever is that most of us live two lives or have two lives: the life we live and the unlived life within us. And between those two stands resistance. And so the nature of most people who want to do big things is we see the thing over there, we're here, and then we do it. Like we do what's necessary to get that thing and we hit it, but it's still not done. There's still another over there. It's like the gap between where we are and where we want to be never goes away. It just moves, right? It just evolves, which is not a bad thing. In fact, I think this thinking, and we can break over the whole definition of a beautiful savage here in a second, but this thinking around to be happy fundamentally, if you don't have an anticipation of a bigger future than your current today, you're not living the way you were designed to live. Because if you think about it, if you ever had a vacation that was coming up, or a some kind of some thing that you were looking forward to, or something you wanted to go and try and achieve, the idea of that you felt now, the energy you feel now, as you were thinking about what that's going to be like, it gives you just a different kind of energy. And we are energy. I mean, we are made up of energy, and it gives you a fuel. And when it's healthy, and I stress that because it can be very unhealthy, and we talk about this a lot in the book. When it's healthy, it's one of the most beautiful things about people, because it's what gives you the fuel you need to not trade what you want ultimately for what you can just get immediately. It gives you the fuel to do hard things today, and not dread the process of it, because you're so excited about where you're going. And so as we think about this healthy idea of the gap, is I've got a place I am and a place I want to be. The entrepreneur in that opening statement can get to a place where sometimes they're like, is this going to end? And that's where it can become unhealthy, is where they think, shouldn't I be happy because I'm here, but I still kind of want this other thing? And maybe people even tell them, they're like, man, what do you think's driving you? You accomplished those goals. You achieved this. Why would you go do this? You don't need any more money. You don't need any more, whatever it happens to be. Why would you do that? Why can't you just keep it the way it is? Keep it the way it is. And contentment has nothing to do with the absence of ambition. If you, and I'd love your thoughts on that real quick, Justin, because you and I have talked about this at great length over time, is that there is this, I don't know, it's not in my groups, but like in certain groups, people who are like, man, you're just always pushing towards the next thing. And I definitely think there's an unhealthy mindset for that. But I think if you're healthy, you were built for better. You were built. In fact, the definition of faith is it's the substance of things we hope for, the evidence of things we've not yet seen. And if you don't have something you're hoping for, and tangibly doing things to substantiate the what's not yet seen, it's one of the most only things that people are is unique to us, different from a dog, is my dog cannot anticipate like a future bigger than what he's living. He's always like, all right, you're here, and then I'm gone, and he's sad, and then I'm here and gone. But people can, and so it's one of the unique gifts we have, I believe, from the hand of God, is to, you dream, you create, you decide where you want to go in the future you want to create. And it isn't so that feeling you have that keeps driving you to want to do something better, to want to do something next. I think, again, we'll go in the other side of it, but that's a great thing. Well, I'd love to hear your thinking around this, because you have some good stuff that we've talked about with it.
Yeah, I think you see it with clients, you see it with people all the time in ministry, all those components. Like there's almost this poverty mindset, like, oh, I have to do this. But the reality is everything about life is designed, to your point, to try to make things better, whatever that situation is. Otherwise, honestly, what are you waking up for in the morning? If the point is not to make anything better, everything's as good as it is, just enjoy what you've got until you die, that's just not that's not an exciting future or a life to live. I wouldn't even call that living, right? Like you're literally just surviving at that point. And even there's a number of different books, Viktor Frankl's book on, man's search for meaning, in the sense of like in the center of a concentration camp, in a world like that, to be able to still find meaning and purpose and direction, to how can I make my situation better? You're gonna tell him in the middle of that, "Hey, just be content. You're at least still alive, right? Like, be content with that. Don't try to make your situation better." Yeah. You might as well go get in line at that point, right? Like, there's no point.
Andy Stanley has this quote that's lived in my head. He said, "When your memories exceed your dreams, the end is near." And I'm a big believer in memories, and we'll hit that too. But man, what is firing you up? What do you get excited about? What do you get excited that you have the ability today to make the world better, to create value, um, and that the healthy when it's healthy, man, it's one of the most beautiful things. So we start the book out with that kind of statement because it's kind of like, hey, you don't need to apologize for this. You don't need to feel like something's wrong with you. This is actually one of the things that makes you uniquely built to live a great life when it's healthy.
Unlike a lot of our viewers and our listeners here, to actually see this in real time, live action with you, because we work together every day. And I see a lot of these principles from the book pour out and how they go so into how we approach our process with clients, with other advisors. Was there a moment in this book when you were writing something you realized that you'd actually been living out the framework before you ever named it?
Yeah. So it came when I look at when people on our team and myself are like at their optimal. I always was trying to figure out because we always were talking about, hey, what are the core values we have? What does someone embody that is, if we could go hire 80 of them, we would hire 80 of them if we could find this person. And there's a couple things I think that are specific because we came to this term before I figured out how to define it. Justin, we're like we need beautiful savages around here because people that are people that are both happy, living a good life. They build the team up. They don't drag them down. Um, Even in times of trial, they seem to like have this quiet, controlled peace about them as they're working to make the situation better. And when life hits them, and as it invariably does, in things that they would not have written in the story of their life, they're 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 so emotionally mature, and they still are able to give life rather than suck the life out of a room. Because you've been in a room, I've been in a room where those people that, man, you can almost feel their energy. Like they come in the room and it's like it's going down. It's like sucking away instead of building up. And I get it. Life hits us and there's circumstances but there's this embodiment of a beautiful savage. So I define it this way. And this is a culmination of like observing all of us that I think, man, this is, and we do this, some of it we do better than others. And sometimes we do better than others depending on the season of life we're in. But a beautiful savage has a big ambition, a grateful condition, and a savage persistence to dance with the resistance between the life they're living and the unlived life within them. That's the kind of person I want to be married to. That's the kind of person I want to work with. Those are the kind of clients that I want to have because it is the most fun. We'll accomplish the most. We'll enjoy it. Nobody's going to do this perfect. Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses and stuff they're working on. But when you're aware of it, you can at least begin to say, okay, what do I need to do to be my best in these areas? Because if you want to accomplish a lot, if you're missing those components or if you don't understand some of them, it's going to be tough for you. And I think as a younger leader, there was some things that showed up in my life and that if I'd have had this framework earlier or discovered it and defined it and applied it earlier, it would have made my life a whole lot better. I think about it like this. Tony Robbins does a wonderful job. He's talked extensively on this. You can YouTube it on the three things, if he could teach his kids anything to that would make their life inherently better in all areas of their life, is pattern recognition, pattern application, and then if they can, pattern creation. So if you think about what that means, pattern recognition is there's if you see somebody has an aspect of life you want, whether as a father or the value they add in the marketplace, the role they hold in the marketplace, the relationships, quality of them, the happiness they embody, the excitement they bring, they lift each other up, add value. You can follow that person around and figure out what is their pattern, because there is a pattern, and some people aren't even aware of that. It's like, I don't know, he's just lucky. Yeah, he had a different kind of life, but there's a pattern.
By accident.
Yeah, just by accident. It's by accident, and but no, there's a pattern that they identified, they discovered. Now, sometimes I don't think people ever define it, but they adopted it, and that which is the most important part. But I love, and I have these conversations with Gage and Abby all the time. I said, you see the people that are doing something in the realm that you go, man, I want that aspect of their life. You might not want all their life, right? But I want that aspect of their life and what they're creating there. What patterns can I adopt from them because you got to discover it. If I want to play that song, what is the pattern for playing it that they're using to play it?
Hey, thanks for tuning in to From Busy to Rich. If you're listening and something sparks a question or you just want to explore these ideas further, visit us at wesyounglive.com or email us at info@wesyounglive.com. You'll find free resources, tools, and ways to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Then the tougher part is you discover the pattern. You say, yes, there are patterns out there different from mine, my normal. How do I apply the pattern? And pattern application is something that is people. It's ironic. People don't have a pattern that they follow for pattern application. And I think about this with Transform, our class we teach. You get really talented people, and they're living an above average life in many ways, but they want better. They want something to be better about it, and they say, "I like the certain aspects, Wes, of the way that what you've created, and so I'd like to go through the class because what are you doing when you're doing that? You're discovering what is my pattern. What is the pattern that's leading to the outcomes that we create. Second is but what I stress, I teach this in the classes is but you better have a good pattern for pattern application because we've all read a book, we've all gone to a class, we've all listened to a podcast, and a year later we might have heard that idea or something again, and we're like, I never did that thing. And there's multiple reasons why, and I know we're going to talk about the resistance that you'd need to dance with to apply the pattern or to live an extraordinary savage life. But it's they don't have a pattern for making that new thing normal. We've done extensive shows on this before of normalize the new, and that our greatest opportunities to recognize our future possibilities isn't about abandoning our normal necessarily. Sometimes it is required. Also not about rejecting new. It's about keeping tension between the two healthy. And so when I say that, what I'm saying is, if Justin, if you audited my life in all areas, you would figure out, okay, this is Wes's pattern. This is what's creating his current outcomes. And if you said, I would like some of that, then you would say, okay, so I need to do a lot of those things. But here's the problem. You can fill up your day with your normal already and still not get to all the things you want to do, right? It's like the plays I'm running fill up the entire day. I don't have time to make these new things normal. And so there's all these pieces of resistance that show up in three primary flavors that we can go through that are, if you're not aware they exist, it's going to be very difficult for you to apply the pattern. Because at the end of the day, if you don't apply it, you're not going to receive the outcome. And a beautiful savage outcome is what you want. So if you see the beautiful savage way, big ambition, grateful condition, and a savage persistence to dance with the resistance between where you are and where you want to be, the resistance is totally in that realm of applying new patterns, letting go of old ones, getting better at them over time. So we can go anywhere you want, Justin, but thoughts on any of that so far?
I think that's a great segue into because ultimately that's where it lands. Everybody, to your point, has seen somebody else or something else and thought like, oh, that would be great. Like, I'd like to have that outcome or that thing, whatever it is. I'd like to be more fit. We just came out of New Year's resolution. I like that lasted about 2 weeks for most people. And to your point, it really gets lost in that savage persistence, the application component. And I know in your book, you named 3 forms, and we can talk a little bit about those in terms of what those are, because I think it's important to understand them and how they show up. And then I'd love to hear just some personal insight for you, for our viewers and listeners that haven't had the chance to know you as long as I have. Where has that shown up and been hardest for you personally? And how's that changed over the years?
Yeah, so I've got great stories around this that just I've seen manifest in my own life and in those of many, many entrepreneurs. So where the resistance shows up and then I'll tell you what the flavors are that you're typically going to get. If you recognize, okay, I want a big ambition because it's going to feed part of my soul. It's what I was built to make things better. And so you dream up that thing. You want that kind of similar thing that that person has, or you make up something if you're an inventor that you're like, I think I want this. You have to make the decision first to be someone that regularly stops and defines, where do we want to go? What do I think a beautiful life looks like, a future in any area? One part. Second part is, and this is the one entrepreneurs, the most that accomplish a lot actually need to spend more time working on. You need to check in regularly. Same time you're doing that big vision. What's my grateful condition? And that's that exercise of, what do I have in my life I once prayed for? What are some of the amazing things we've accomplished over the decades? What are the things that I just, man, when I think about it, it's a memory of that. I just feel happy. I experience the emotion of happiness because I remember what it was like when we did it. And I think one of the things people tend to focus on, especially if you're a very driven entrepreneur and a striver, you're always you get here and you're like, all right, where are we going next? And we don't take enough time to celebrate. And here's where that causes an issue: is if you don't take the time to like celebrate where you are on your way to where you're going, it's another piece of the fuel that will be absent, and you'll be running on dirty fuel because you're never done. You're just always treadmill. If I can get that thing, and you get it, but then you got to get that thing. I thought when I hit this much money, it would make me happy. I thought when I got that car, that girl, that guy, it would make me happy. When I went on that vacation, it would make me happy. And so the danger is regular gratitude exercises, which we can talk extensively about later, are one of those things that is the additive that you need to enjoy the journey. Because I mean, I start the day with gratitude, with thanking God for the things in my life that I'm so happy for. The team that we have. I thank Him for all of you. I thank you. I thank Him for my family. I thank Him for, hey, I'm thankful I have my health at whatever level it is today. I thank Him for all these things, just to list gratitude. And what happens is all of a sudden, I experience an enormous amount of gratitude. And I also have an enormous amount of confidence about what's possible going forward. And I live that day better. I live that day lighter. When I notice that I'm not taking regular time to count the blessings, you might say, and celebrate like where we are, I begin to feel different. And even the way I operate, you still can strive and accomplish a lot, but you're not real happy about it. I mean, you're just not. You're not fun to be around. It's not happy. So when people have done that, when they can at least have the big vision and a grateful condition, that's the starting point, and there's ways to do that. And then they get into the ability to dance with the resistance between the life they're living and that unlived life within them. So dancing with the resistance, the starting point is know where you want to go, define it, be wrong. That's okay. Celebrate where you come from, what has been, and then know that the resistance is going to show up in these three forms. And we can take them one at a time. They do overlap a little bit, but the first and two of them are pretty prevalent, I would say. The third one, not always, but it's sneaky. The first one that I want to talk about is fear. Okay, so fear is not a bad thing. It's an emotion that informs your, like, hey, pay attention. And so experiencing the emotion of fear is not a bad thing. Because here's what you experience anytime you're like, I want that thing. I'm going to go take this class and then I'm going to apply it. Well, here's where resistance might show up for you is, you know that different isn't always better, but better is always different. So you know you can't get better unless you do some different stuff. And you say, that pattern got him that. I would like to do it. But it's not your pattern. You've never done it. It's never added your bottom line. It is, and you're not good at it. It's not muscle memory. That language, that talk you want to learn how to give, or that new schedule you want to follow, that new tool you want to use. It's like when you first learned to drive a car, your very first time, you weren't good at it. Like, or if you taught someone to drive a car ever for the first time, you were clear they were not good at it. And And it was like very tense because it's clumsy, and people don't like feeling that they deem it as a pain they want to avoid instead of an investment they want to make. So fear can be the fear of this. It could be, yeah, but what if things get worse? And in fact, if what does worse mean? Because it could mean I try it, I get good at it, and I don't produce the same outcome that I was even producing before. So I not only didn't stay the same, I went backwards. So let's say financially could be one. Okay, that's where you've got to dance with the fear, because you can't. We have two acronyms for fear: face everything and run, or face everything and rise. Face everything and run being, okay, well, but things may get worse. So I don't think I'm financially, if I learn it and I get good at it and apply it, I might not have a better outcome financially. Let's just say that's the thing. I don't have to take on the identity of fear though. I can say, yeah, I understand that. That is a possible thing. What is the probability of that? Like if I do this and do it at this level, the way that you're doing, the way Wes is doing it, if I use this conversation, is the probability that my meetings are going to get better and higher quality, or that they're going to produce less? It's not probable, it's possible, right? But what's the other fear with that? The other fear is this: is my life's going to get worse, not because I think if I do it and I get good at it, my income is going to go down, because I've kind of probably not, right? What if I but what if I do it and it's hard? That's true. It's going to be. What if I do it and if you had deemed my life gets worse? So you got to have this idea in your head of a category. If worse means I'm going to have to struggle, I'm going to feel awkward and embarrassed, and I'm going to actually have to, like, it's going to be awkward for me because it's not muscle memory. It's not my existing pattern. Primary example of this, Justin, and I've seen you live this. We see advisors that in Transform live it all the time. There's a big difference. You get somebody that comes in, and we teach, like, hey, here is a great way to frame your first meeting with a potential client. Here's why it works. Here's the psychology behind it and why it gets them to that point. And just the opener of that meeting is a 2-minute story that you're telling, basically. And it goes through specific things that they set up the conversation in the framework for excellence. So I asked them, I was like, how many of you think you can't tell a 2-minute story? How many think you can't do that? And well, everybody's like, no, yeah, of course we can. We got that. I'm like, great. So record yourself on a Zoom when you feel like you're ready, or on a Loom or some recording device. Send it to me, and you tell me that story. And I can tell you, first thing is people are like, that's embarrassing. That's going to be hard. That's awkward. I don't know how to use Loom or any recording device, and I just stumble over the language. And Wes, I mean, did you give it for Wes? I'm not going to do that. Well, worse can't, in your categories of worse, can't be, if you're ever going to get great at things, it can't be you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. If that paradox makes sense a little bit. And I want to stop there for a second, check in with you, because you, Justin, when you came in our organization, you had a lot of experience in the kind of the category, but the way in our approach was not something that was yet muscle memory for you. You had to make a new thing normal and do it fast. And you did all these things. You did the looms. You did the battle. And I don't ever remember seeing through your spirit or expression of any of it, at least not on a regular basis, that my life's worse. It was almost like, well, this is what savages do. We make new things normal so that we can create better outcomes and create more value. So your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll try and be as concise as I can, but ultimately it boils down to one perspective for me. Fear either is going to consume you or it's going to motivate you. That's it. It's like fire. Fire can warm you up or it can burn something to the ground. Fear can be the thing that motivates you. Like for me, I was more afraid of not being good at it than I don't like leaving something as my weakness. So even when in training, wrestling, special forces, whatever it was, the thing that I was weakest at was the thing that I focused on. It wasn't the thing that I was best at. I didn't lean into my strengths. I leaned into where is my weakness? Where's the weakest link in the chain? Because that's where I can reinforce and grow.
I want to go back to what you said there because you had a golden nugget in there, and I want to see if you can say it again. So you said you were more afraid of not being good at the thing that needed to get you to the next level, more so than you were afraid of feeling awkward and uncomfortable as you're trying to do the stuff necessary to get good at the thing. So how did you say it?
I'll have to look back, but ultimately I was more afraid of staying how I was versus and not getting better. That's the thing that for me was the motivation because my alternative is things would stay the same. I would continue to be awkward in that world, and versus if I could just double down, focus on doing the things to as quickly as possible, get good at it, like my life just would get better faster. And so that's the going back to that perspective of you're going to look at it in life in general, no matter what it is, with two lenses. It's either going to be something that consumes you and causes you not to move forward with it, or it'll be something that you use as the driver and the energy behind it to get through that.
I love this. So if you're listening today, here's a question for you to ask yourself about as it relates to this, because I don't know all of your detailed story, but here's what I do know, especially if you're tuned into a podcast like this. Like, you're a striver. You want things to be better. You want your business to be better. That's why you're tuning in from busy to rich. It's entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, right? A lot of entrepreneurs that happen to be in the financial business some way, shape, or form. And better is going to require different. You understand that. And you're already doing one of the first things is you're doing the pattern identification. Like, what patterns is Wes going to bring up, or a guest he's going to have on, that has created unusually high consistent outcomes? And what's natural is the gravitational pull. If we understand that there is a pattern to this, the natural gravitational pull is always going to be to defend our normal and reject new. And so if you're aware of that, you can say, no, I'm not doing it. I want better. And this is a pattern that I believe has a high probability of making me better. You still will hit fear. And you'll experience the emotion of fear. And if you're not hitting it, there's a different problem, because you can be what we call an ungrounded optimist, that they don't count the cost. They're like, I didn't see that coming. You're like, how did you not see that coming? How didn't you see that was a possibility or probability? But here's what you do. You experience the emotion of fear. You don't take on the identity of being afraid, because if you take on the identity of being afraid, and you say, I think I'm afraid of looking awkward, I would ask yourself that question: Are you afraid of looking awkward? It's okay. It's not okay to lie to yourself though about it, because what you'll do is you'll make a whole bunch of reasons and excuses why you don't do it when it comes to fear. Um, but channel that. Like, you don't take on the identity of fear. You dance with it. You say, you know what? Yeah, I can see where nobody likes to look awkward. I like to look great at everything I'm doing. But what I'm going to do with that fear is, if there's any fear that the way I'm going to use you as an emotion, not taking on your identity that makes me run, but makes me rise, because I want to rise. I want to get to that next thing. And worse than feeling awkward and looking bad, what you should be more afraid of is not getting the life that you're capable of getting. And that's gold, Justin, in your framework that you brought up.
Yeah, I would say, just to put a pin in that, you're going into a gunfight, there's two people you really don't want with you. The one who's truly not afraid of the bullets flying at you, they're crazy, you should get away. The other one is the one that is so frozen by fear that they can't do anything. They will be a liability the entire time. So it's, how do you acknowledge it, the point that, like, yes, I am afraid of getting hit by one of these bullets, but how can I move forward, and how does that motivate me to do something to change the situation? Because I guarantee you, if you freeze and do nothing, your situation will not get better. If you just run forward like you can't get hit, it also won't get better. So it's the balance between the two.
One thing I know from personal experiences, which we will have to maybe talk about this on another show one day, is when you come to a situation that a gun might need to be involved, you are not going to freeze. You certainly are ready to go when that comes. And we'll just leave that as a little teaser for people to one day bring back up, because it's, when it's locked and loaded, when a person's coming at you and we're not real sure if he's good or bad, Justin will make sure that he's ready if required to move forward. He's not going to freeze.
No, better to have and not need than need and not have, right? Like that's.
I love it. It's one of the fun analogies I heard years ago that stuck with me is fear is like your crazy uncle. Okay, and I've got a crazy uncle. I've got a couple crazy uncles, and so if my uncle's listening, you may be him, you may not, and let them come on the trip. They're going to make the trip better because it's like you're going to inform yourself of things you should be digging into, know about, and things that you would sneakily go, oh well, I don't want to do it because of this. Not really. You don't want to do it because you're afraid of looking awkward. You don't want to do it because you don't want to allocate the time and the energy, because this is different energy to normalize new things than it is to run normal things. So you bring him on the trip, you just don't let him drive the car. You know, he gets to come, he just doesn't drive the car. I love the full fear dancing. And it's because people look at it as a negative. It's not a negative. It's just don't embody it. Use it.
Exactly. Last question. I know we're running along here, so someone's listening right now. They feel the tension that we've been talking about. They're driven and guilty about it, or they're successful but not fulfilled, encouraged but afraid. Other than go buy the book, what's the one thing that they should do this week?
So after they buy the book, and again, you can buy it depending on when you're listening to this. Either it's for pre-sale right now. That's really helpful to us if you buy that on Amazon. But the one thing I would say, because again, there's so much in this, but the usable morsel that you can eat today that is going to make your life better is think about what pattern that you know is going to make your life better, or you're pretty sure, you know as best as you can, it's going to make your life better. Have you not applied? Are you not working to apply because fear of feeling awkward and having to go through the awkwardness of making a new thing normal? What is the biggest one that you think would move the needle the most, bring you the most joy and satisfaction, meaning? And decide today that one thing is no longer going to be something that you let embody you. It's going to be something that empowers you because you're aware of it, you know it's there, and you go, you know what, I'm doing it anyway. I'm rising anyway. I'm going to schedule time on the calendar, some of my best time in the mornings. But mornings are great, by the way. If you're normalizing new stuff, because you have the best energy you're probably going to have all day. And you can, but if it's not on the calendar and treat it as like sacred time to normalize the new, and if you don't view it as this is creating the life that I'm designed to live, you won't do it. And it'll be another great book you read, and it'll be another great podcast you listen to. But those who change their lives, they're going, I get to do that. I'm excited to do that. I don't have to. I really don't even get to. I want to. It's not a discipline. This is a desire. I'm a person who gets good at stuff. So how do I get good at stuff? I got time to get good at the stuff. So scheduling those things. We can talk about specific examples in the future as well.
I love it. Again, go check it out. You can look on Amazon. By the time that you're going to look, you may see there will be an Audible version. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Wes, but it should be an Audible version as well, depending on how you like to consume that. I'm just going to close it out with this. As Wes writes in the book, on the other side of the resistance, regardless of what the form it's taking for you, is the most beautiful, savage version of yourself. And I can tell you that the people around you, us, the rest of the world are waiting to see it. So go get the book, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to From Busy to Rich. If something in today's episode sparked an idea or hit a nerve, don't keep it to yourself. Follow the show, share it with a friend, and let's keep building a community of advisors who want more. You can find more resources, tools, and free content at wesyounglive.com. We'll see you back here next time for more real conversations about building the life and business you really want.